City and take a look at the betting that we currently have at matchbook.com. You can back Tottenham at 4.7, City the favourites at 1.78. The draw is available at 4.3. Both teams to score yes is 1.64, no is 2.28. Spurs will be getting a 3/4 of a goal head start on the Asian handicap line, currently available at 1.97, and the goal line is 3. So, look, Adrian, I'll go throw this back to you. You mentioned the title race is far from over. And look, Arsenal do have a difficult game, which we'll get to later in the show. So this could be a massive opportunity for City. You know, Tottenham Hotspur have been in okay-ish form the last couple of weeks, but obviously Conte's absence could be a big loss to them as well.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think that Antonio Conte not being there is a blow for them. He is such a dominant figure, and I'm not saying they'll be lost without him, but I think it's a big negative for Tottenham ahead of the game, no doubt about it. Pep Guardiola, by the way, does not like this stadium. He's lost on all 4 of his visits, which is quite remarkable. Surely it can't be 5 in a row. And my thinking here is that I do fancy City to go to Tottenham and sweep them to one side. Obviously, Arsenal did it a few weeks ago with ease, and there's not much to choose between Arsenal and Manchester City, in my opinion. Obviously, they had that scare in the game at the Etihad recently, where they were 2-0 down City against the run of play, it has to be said. But what happened in that second half with those 4 goals was amazing, and also I would imagine morale sapping from a Tottenham defender's point of view. So I believe they'll come into this match with a little bit of trepidation. Obviously, they've won in the cup. They got a good clean sheet at Fulham, so they're not in terrible shape. But I do think there's a golf in class. I really do. I think that City will control the game. I think we all know that because Tottenham will sit back and look to play on the counter. And I can just imagine City's midfield of Rodri, De Bruyne, and one other, possibly Gundogan, just running rings around the Tottenham midfield, which is almost always just that 2-man axis. And I think that really hamstrings them against the better teams. And their record against the better teams this season, he's not good at all. Tottenham Hotspur haven't beaten any of the top 4. They've lost every single game. And in their last 5 home games, they've conceded at least twice. So there are lots of red flags for me in regards to Tottenham ahead of this game. City weren't brilliant in beating Arsenal, but I think they've got the class to go to. I was going to say White Hart Lane, go to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and sweep them to one side.
Same area.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So just City on the nose for me. It's been trimmed in. When I first looked at this yesterday, it was 1.8 or more. It's obviously a little bit of money coming for City, and I understand why.
Yeah, and it's only gone one way, that market, for sure. Miguel, we talked a lot about City, very briefly on Tottenham. How can a club with that amount of money being involved get the Matt Doherty situation so wrong with reaching their limit of loan signings that they end up having to terminate his contract, I think, 18 months before it was due to end?
Well, I think one thing it does is point to what Spurs are right now. Like, I wrote a piece in this 2 weeks ago about kind of this. It's felt for a while like Spurs are basically kind of almost trying to, rather than just have a clean break and build a new team in the way, say, Ferguson did, the way Arsenal did in 2019-20. They've been kind of hanging on to the Poch era. Now, I know we're so many managers past now, but it's like the core of the team is still there with everything around it being changed. And I think it's led to both this staleness and then this situation where they're kind of this constant turnover of players around it. So we have this scenario where so many players were out on loan, and they were forced into this really drastic move on Doherty. I think that is a factor in where Spurs are now, where kind of Conte is trying or has been trying to lift them up maybe to above their level, but there's this constant drag. I mean, I've for a long time felt that they need a bit of a rethink. As for this game, though, I'm not sure. It's an interesting one in that, in terms of a rethink, it's very rare we have a match like this where we had the other fixture so recently, and it feels like it's going to be along a similar dynamic. I know this game has had a pattern over the last few years. It did feel like City broke that in the last match, and it'll be a classic where Spurs look to sit deep and counter, but they aren't necessarily that well set up for that. City again at the other side, conceding goals. So I'm actually completely guided by the first game. I think this will be both teams to score, especially with Kane doing what he's doing at the moment. Son maybe hinting at a back to a bit of form. City can be got at, especially by the Spurs, but City probably have too much. So yeah, City win with both teams to score.
Yeah, that's it. Look, if you do like that City price at around 1.78 that Adrian's touched on and add the both teams to score, you do get 3.35. Does look quite big and appealing. And incidentally, City have conceded a goal per game on average in the Premier League. So definitely the stats back that up. Mark, you're in agreement, particularly on the Manchester City side. So you feel still at 1.78 they're about here.
I do, because City were about 1.85, 1.9 when they went to Manchester United recently in the Manchester derby, which you would describe as being a tougher away day than Tottenham are right now. Liverpool were around evens, 2.05 when they went and won at Tottenham earlier this season. And we've seen how Liverpool have performed already this campaign. I think City are around 1.66 when they went away to Chelsea. So in terms of actual odds, I think there's certainly reason to believe that City is still a little bit too big and actually quite an attractive price to go to Tottenham and win this weekend. Despite all that, I have been banging the drum for quite a while, but this Man City team haven't been the same side that started the Premier League campaign. Since they were turned over by Liverpool at Anfield, they've not really convinced me for 90 minutes. I think they probably put in one of their better performances against Wolves in the Premier League last time out, and they'll obviously gain confidence by beating Arsenal in the FA Cup too. But despite those kind of negatives, they still have won 7 of the last 10 in the Premier League. They still are turning up and getting results. They might just not be, as attractive as the team we've probably seen in previous years, or as dominant. But a lot of this also rests on Spurs too. As Adrian says, they've lost all 5 against the top 4. They've lost 4 of the last 5 at home. Newcastle, Liverpool and Arsenal have all been to Tottenham and won this season. And Spurs are shipping goals at an alarming rate too. So that is a concern. I just think price-wise too, City just attractive at the price. It's as simple as that really. I expect them to be below 1.7 considering the price they went off at Chelsea earlier this campaign. So yeah, Man City to win. I also agree with Miguel too that there's just too much attacking quality on the field this weekend for there not to be goals really. City's defence hasn't covered themselves in glory consistently, and when you've got Richarlison fit, Kulusevski, Kane, Son, you expect Spurs to strike, and Danjuma now too. So they've got plenty of firepower. The issue is at the opposite end.